Hey, welcome back to the Ready State. Because we have you at home, we're pushing our agenda on you, which is talking about movement vital signs. Now, our whole dream is that all of us ends up speaking the formal language of movement in the context of the movements that we do to get fit. So instead of using some correlate language, use the language of lunge, squat, push up, pull up, right, snatch. These are all movements that we use that pretty much make up the basis for our training language, at least our formal movement language. Now, of course, the body does all these incredible things, but in there, this formal movement training language turns out to be an excellent diagnostic tool. It's like we have a parallel diagnostic plan running in real time, which is great if my sport happens to be the gym, because it's really easy to understand what's happening in real time. It's also really great if I happen to actually play sports, although maybe not right now, but I can understand what's happening in some of the complexity of our dynamic sport, surfing, freestyle movement when I have this parallel language running over here. Sometimes it's hard to see what's going on with the hips and the feet when I'm going 100 miles an hour playing a game. It's much easier to see when I'm squatting and hinging. Now, with that being said, I want you to appreciate a couple things. Your range of motion is a dynamic system. That means some days you're going to suck, and even though a couple days ago you thought you nailed it. Which is why we want you to get into the habit of using every day's training as a diagnostic tool, because as you get stiff or your training devolves, suddenly training changes. Right now you're doing a lot of body weight things at home. You may not be loading the hip, you may not be exposing yourself to some of the motions that you were doing, and now your range of motion may have changed. So if you get into the habit of being able to quickly drop in and out of this language of testing, it becomes very, very simple to understand what's going on. One of our favorite movement vital signs is the couch stretch. Now, what you're thinking to yourself is, that's not an athletic position, but what we're really looking at is your ability to extend your hip and to have enough range of motion in your quadriceps anterior line to be able to do the things a leg is supposed to do. Now, ultimately, our test is, for example, can I get into an uncompensated squat, which means with feet straight, ankles balanced, I can squat, hip crease below the knee without changes in that position. And that's not even a radical deep ass to ankle squat, any width that you want. Can I express a hip position with my head tall, shoulders engaged? This is our basic uncompensated squat position, right? There's no compensations going on. I'm not turning the foot out. I'm not collapsing the arch. I haven't even expressed near full range of motion. I still have a ton of hip range left, but if I'm struggling with that position, or suddenly that position becomes more difficult for me, then I start to ask questions. And this is why part of our idea is that the warm-up is always part of the assessment. What is going on? So if you ever take a mobility assessment test, put it in the drawer, and don't use it every day or every week, you aren't really seeing what's going on. You're getting a snapshot of who you were on that day. And so what we want you to appreciate is that as you have time now to think about some of these positions and shapes, be comfortable testing all the time. Now, one of our favorite tests, of course, is the couch stretch. And the test here is that my knee goes into the corner of the wall, and I should be able to squeeze my butt in this position. So this is position one. And this is low-level stuff. So if you're already struggling for this position, we know you don't have complete movement vital sign. That's okay. We're not even interested in this position as a movement vital sign. Can I squeeze my butt and press? I'm interested in, can you get your torso upright and still have access to being able to squeeze your butt in this position and breathe? This movement vital sign is going to change. I deadlifted yesterday. I've been riding my bike a ton. I feel that this is not as effortless as it was a few days ago. I'm seeing that, wow, I'm a lot stiffer in here, which gives me information about being able to understand what this means so that I can not only use this as a mobilization, but I can also use it as a testing device. How simple is my couch? Well, I don't know. Let me get into the couch and give me 30 seconds and I'll tell you. So the idea here is that we get closer and closer to getting and conjoining the stimulus for adaptation along with the diagnostic tool, which means my exercise is not just about physiology. It's not just about energy pathways. It's not just about getting a sweat on or feeling a burn. It's about understanding what's happening with the mechanic. And the last 10 years of fitness, we have lost our minds when it comes to working hard. Everyone is working hard now. That ship has sailed. So now we get to layer on the next piece, which is, hey, what's going on in the system? Am I at full physiologic native capacity or not? 1 or 0? And keep in mind, this is not a value statement. We don't know what your injury history is. We don't know what your training volume is. We don't even know what's going on in your life right now. The stress, teaching your kids at home, trying to grocery shop for your parents in a 600-foot apartment. It's crazy. In that craziness, we can still understand what's happening to the body. Why? Because your range of motion is like a credit score. It's constant and dynamic. And you only own it today, and tomorrow you need to do something to keep an eye on it. And having these movement vital signs as your go-to can help you understand what to program when and why, and understand when you start losing power because you start losing position. Easy, easy fixes come. Movement vital signs.